Welcome to another episode of One of One PLLRS Podcast. This is Reg. Shout out to David. Shout out to the folks over here at MNN with and our production team. Today, I'm super fortunate and honored to be able to sit down and talk to D Smoke.
Pleasure to be here.
I'm going to get right into it. I'm not one for all the long intro like Shannon Sharp does. He's very good at that. I should have like this.
Introducing from the city of Inglewood, a former teacher who
Oh, you were a former teacher. We were just talking about education and everything.
Yes.
How did that help, or did it help with the transition? Was it like a jarring and sharp transition to music, or?
I wouldn't call it jarring. It was a transition I was ready for. You know what I'm saying? I had been working to put myself in a position to create income from music. Me and my brothers, we wrote songs for other artists since we were like 17, 18, 19. So we had seen some bread, but it wasn't like we were in a position to really sustain ourselves off of our passions. So I was, in the classroom. I taught for over 10 years. And then I substitute taught just to give myself more freedom to say, if I want the day off, I don't answer to nobody. And so I had been making that transition for some time. And then finally, after Rhythm and Flow, it was like, all right, we just leaping, and ain't looked back since.
So. That's fire. That matter of fact, there's a song on there called Fire.
Yeah.
That's like one of my joints. And as I'm listening to you rap, the way you put the words together, everything like that, was that something you already had the flow, the word structure before teaching, or was that something that teaching gave you maybe?
Before teaching, it was music. You know what I'm saying? I could play keys, I could produce. I've been producing since I was like 10 years old on my uncle's studio setup. And I started writing music just before I graduated high school. So in college, that's when we got a publishing deal, started writing for other artists. But rapping was something I did here and there, whereas the homie Chiz, rest in peace, Chiz was a real rapper. His older brothers were rappers. They come from a whole second generation of rappers, and they used to run with Bone Thugs and Harmony. And so he was the one that was like, look, I'm gonna be the rapper. I was the producer. I was like, I rap probably just as much as Timbaland raps. You know what I'm saying? And Timbaland was my idol as a producer. I'm like, look, I'm gonna do some off the wall creative sounds and right hooks. And so my primary goal was to put my family on. The homie Chiz, my brother Sir, my brother Davion, and then my cousin Tiffany Goucher. But it was when I got into my 20s after we wrote a couple hit songs, and for whatever reason they weren't calling us back. We got politicked out of situations that we felt like we had earned our way into. We were like, look, we're gonna put out our own music. So it's really me and Chiz. I started off in a rap group called Park Circle, and Chiz was the rapper. I was the producer rapper. Who I know how to write hooks, I know how to write songs, and I could piece together a verse if I got enough time. Yeah. But Chiz was a prolific writer, and then he ended up, having cancer, and we still put out, 2 projects, and then he passed. So that's when I had that crossroads, like, am I a rapper on my own? You know what I'm saying? And I just kind of grew more into it in my 20s, and stuck with it.
That's dope. I mean, as you were talking, I'm sitting there as much as Timbaland rapped, and I was like, yeah, Timbaland did rap on some
girl. I'm the man from the big V8. Yeah. But you're going to play around my weight. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, he kind of got a flow.
You know what I'm saying?
I'm not mad at it. Right. So you're saying, and it's funny, I met Timbaland a while back, and it was crazy. The last conversation I had with him, he was talking to me about AI, and I'm like, all right, where, and then here we are.
Yeah.
Your musical influences were primarily producers because you were a producer, or is there anybody in rap that you could look at that you were like, this was a influence, or someone I listened to, or someone I connected to as a reference point?
Yeah, absolutely. My main influence, somewhere between Corrupt and Andre 3000. You know what I'm saying? So you got somebody that's super poetic, super thoughtful, super spiritual and lyrical. But then you have somebody that's just West Coast,
And
like,
I
and
hear
still
that in
lyrical.
music. Yeah.
And still lyrical, you know. So, but of course, I have a vast range of influences from Jay-Z to you know, to Busta Rhymes and you know, Redman, Method Man. Like it's wide. Snoop, you know, the first rap I ever learned was a Snoop Dogg rap, you know. So coming up from the West, you definitely have those influences. But when you start to create, it's kind of like, okay, what am I here to do? You know what I'm saying? And I think that comes more from like the Outkast and you know what they accomplished in their music. You know,
Is what's dope to me, especially with the Andre 3000 reference. I'm from New York. I don't know like how much you engage with that culture, but being from New York, we're very biased in terms of lyricism and music and everything.
Yeah.
So we're like, oh, lyricists are from up here. Like Jadakiss is the best.
Oh,
rapper
Jadakiss is.
yeah.
I mean, he's
Like,
hard.
yeah.
Jadakiss is dope.
But I do feel like when you look at guys like Andre 3000, when you look at lyricists like, when you look at people from the West Coast like Corrupt, or you even look at like yourself, Nipsey, Kendrick, like I do feel like there are lyricists everywhere. I think like, you know, regionally though, people have their preferences and they just kind of assign lyricism to wherever.
Right. I think the West Coast is a combination of like, we'll borrow the pieces we like, but there's such a daringness to break rules. The West Coast, like even now, the youngsters are like, yeah, we know what lyricism is supposed to be, but we just gonna be all over the beat. You know what I'm saying? Like we just gonna fall in where we at, like you know. And it's like, but it's off beat. But then you're like, but it's connecting. And then you still, as an artist, you got to be like, why? Because ultimately, there's a sense of rebellion that maybe from the New York set of rules, you might be like, what's that? Like we don't mess with that. But then it's like. And even the homie Chiz taught me this when we was rapping. He was like, you can't just listen to your favorite stuff as a real artist, because you got to ask, why is this connecting with people? Why is it art to so many people? You know, and then you can at least find the intent in it and respect that, you know, because it's coming from a real place. So
you listen to more than just rap, or you listen
heck
to
yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. I don't listen to as much rap as I listen to other stuff, to keep it a buck. You know what I'm saying? Like I listen to more, you know, R&B, gospel, soul. You know what I'm saying?
I hear that in the music though.
For sure. I play instruments. So if you only listen to rap, on average, they're gonna tell you that you're supposed to just have bells and 808s. Do 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 do. Like that's not all the way hip hop can be. You know what I'm saying? So, so I listen to all kind. I listen to Stevie Wonder. I listen to, you know, my pops just turned 70. You know, we was playing the Temptations in the car. You know, so and the greats do too. You know, so it's just some people are here to get on, others are here to be great. If you great, you digging deeper than what
surface level.
That was surface level, what everybody's doing. Like fuck what everybody's doing.
I like my experience with like West Coast rap was like coming up, New York rap was very like hard and like jarring, whereas like West Coast rap was, they were saying very similar things. Like the I guess the content was similar, but then it was melodies. It was like, it was just fly. It was
lowrider music.
Exactly. You're listening to it and it's just very happy music, but then you're listening to the words and it's just like the same words. And I feel like that's the same thing when I'm in LA. People are like, yo, don't let the palm trees fool you. Like
some of the worst streets is lined with palm trees on both sides.
It looks fly as hell, but it might be crazy.
Out there trying to catch a breath of fresh air. Hey, homie. Hey, what's that you got on? Sorry, sir, I'm just from New York. Like this Inglewood.
They put me onto the hat thing.
Just recently. Yeah, that New York hat. You know.
I just ain't gonna wear no hats. It's too much thinking.
It just makes sure it's a button up. If you got a hat on, wear the button up with it. And LA, it's how you carry yourself more than anything. You know, the hat'll get you stopped. Yeah. But, you know, it's not the 90s no more, thank God. You know. I remember and I wasn't a teenager in the 90s, but in the early 2000s, it was still remnants of that. And it was really about like, it was more about colors. Now the colors, they still exist, but it's not going let me not speak to. I'd be the reason somebody go to the wrong hood. You know what I'm saying?
It was like, yeah, this color was
be
cool.
well advised. Be with somebody who knows where they at and how to navigate. So
yeah. I feel like for the most part, like, I navigate most spaces like with respect, so I never really run into
and that's the main
yeah.
thing. Yeah, that universal principles do keep you safe still. But and it sucks that there are sad stories where there's an exception to the rule. So it's still, know where you at and exercise good judgment. But Inglewood is being gentrified in kind of a good way, right? Because it's changing their new developments, but it's not gentrification in the sense where black people are moving out. It's a lot of black people from everywhere in Inglewood. So you got black people from Brooklyn, black people from Atlanta, black people from wherever. And Inglewood, because it was already black, you got all these, young black professionals, black people in tech, college graduates who are moving in, and it's still kind of preserving some of the culture. So the G's are there, but they feel like a little bit uplifted, you know what I'm saying? And I could still be in my city. So
so it's good gentrification. Usually like the
to
connection
to a certain extent,
like
yeah, exactly. People
out.
get moved out. It's not that, we have, because Inglewood is a lot of houses. So unless somebody decides to sell the family house, which some people did, but I think a lot of us knew better, you still have these legacy families, placed throughout the city.
And so then they get to benefit from the uplifting and the values going up.
As long as they don't refi too many times and can still afford that mortgage, you know what I'm saying? So,
oh, you talking that real estate talk,
bro? Man, I've seen it happen.
Yeah. We're gonna jump around because we're talking about the music, but then we got into the whole like culture of LA and the street culture, whatever. My connection to you originally was you acting.
Yeah.
So I'm watching this show, Mayor of Kingstown, and you were featured in that. You did a spectacular job. I would never even connect to rapper. You did such a great job in the role, and you acting and everything. Were you doing a lot of acting before that?
I've been acting since I was about 13 years old. A friend of the family, Tasha Smith, got me into acting when I was a kid. Yeah. Me and all my brothers, Sir, Davion. And for the first 2 years, we didn't book anything. We were auditioning like once a week, at least, sometimes 3 times a week. And Sir and Davion decide, this isn't for us. We're not booking anything. I had a car by the time I was 15, I had good grades, so I could drive myself to the audition. So I keep going. And then, right at about 15 years old, I started booking. And for the next couple years, all up until I was 17, about to graduate, I was on like CSI, The District, Boston Public, Judge and Amy, this movie called Our America, PSA commercials, all kind of stuff. And this is in rooms with like the Michael B. Jordans, the Anthony Mackies, Brandon Hammond, who played the main kid on Soul Food. Like I'm in the same room as people that are still having thriving careers on TV. But what happened for me is when it was a gangster role or a troubled kid that was like from the hood getting in fights, I would walk in there like, I already got this. Yeah. Like y'all all are actors, but I'm from Inglewood. So I would go in there with the confidence that's half the battle when you step into a room. It's like, yeah, this mine. Because they want to feel that energy on screen anyway. So, and I would literally walk in there and book everything that's Trouble Kid. They would book the Nickelodeon stuff over me. They would book, the kind of like mid-range roles where it's like, he's a good kid, but he,
a little trouble.
But if it's a Trouble Kid, I'm like, I got this. Because at the time, it's Inglewood, And, but when I went to college, I had differences with my management. And they were trying to send me out on stuff that didn't fit me. And meanwhile, I'm at UCLA trying to read 3 books a week. And I just basically told her like, look, I'm gonna take a break. Didn't know that break would be for 15 plus years. But then as soon as I won Rhythm and Flow and started dropping music and getting Grammy-nominated and all that stuff, touring, Tasha Smith hit me again. She's still a not even friend of the family, that's family. And she hit me like, we gonna get you right back in. So with Mayor of Kingstown, she was directing some of the episodes, and as she read the script, she was like, there's this role I think you would kill. And she was like, yeah, so he's a Crip, and this. I was like, oh, Tosh, hold on, you know. But then I was like, all right, let's go for it, and you know, and the rest is history. When they wrote the role, they were saying like, we don't know where we're gonna take him, because they're writing these things in real time as they're already filming the season, because, you know, one, I guess they want to see what the actor can bring to the show before they commit to so much, you know,
giving you
content.
more
Exactly.
Yeah.
Once I hit screen and, you know, I guess word got around like I'm holding it down, they just kept writing my character up and up and up. And now, you know, I'm still on there as one of the leaders in the prison, and I don't want to give away too much.
Yeah.
So.
Yo, so I love what they did with the character. This is my own personal stuff now.
Got you.
I love what they did with the character. I would leave him free for a little bit. They took him back to jail too soon for me. I'm giving stuff away. I was just like, because I love the nuances of the character.
Yeah.
Because it's like, I like what they did with the main guy, like Bunny. Like the nuances, everything. I love his relationship with the mayor.
Mike, yeah.
And your character was like, you know, the musicality of that, and I feel like you brought that in. Did they add that because of you, or was that the direction?
Yeah. They you know, studied what I do outside of acting and was like, hey man, let's add those textures to somebody that's locked up. And obviously, like, you know, with all the jail politics and gang stuff, let's beautifully complicate this character. And they were like, I think D Smoke got those, you know. So, or we believe that just because of what we've seen. So I was like, let's do it.
Low key, and this is like connected somewhere else. Like, I have ADD a little bit. You know, they're doing a spinoff for like Snowfall, where it's just like, I guess they open like a record label or something like that.
Oh, tight.
Yeah, this.
I'm
just saying, you might want to.
Y'all might have to holler at D Smoke for that. You feel me?
Because like the nuances of what you were able to do with that character, like I cared. Like when you got out, when you connected with your son and all that, I was just like, I want to see more of this. And they sent you right back to jail. I'm like, feeling like, what's happening?
Hey man, no comment.
Yeah. All right.
I wanted to be out too.
Yeah. And then like, I liked the interactions with the mayor. I felt like that was a whole other thing. But I mean, I'm sure they know what they're doing. Yeah. How was it working with Jeremy Renner? It
was incredible. Like, I'm like, you know, I have a long history in acting. However, to jump back in at this level is like exciting. Like, it's like I grew up balling, playing basketball, and then I took a long break. Now I'm at the park with LeBron. You know what I'm saying? Like, these are incredible actors. So to see them in their process is dope. You know, on set, it's funny, on set, you know, he's, for the most part, he's 70% Mike McCluskey and 30% Jeremy. So he's more serious because that character is under a lot of stress and carries that energy. And then I ran into him in Vegas. And man, I've never seen him so excited to see me like that. You know, like on set, he's like, hey, what's up, Smoke? Good to see you. Boom. And then back to work. I'm not going to bother him. He's got a million scenes every day, you know. But saw him in Vegas. He's like, oh, my brother, a big hug, right? Then goes to my wife, mwah, mwah, you know, like, and it was just dope to see him that way because, you know, it wasn't the weight of the whole show. The whole show is based around him. So, but he's an incredible actor. Like the stuff, and so much of it he adds to the show. You know, even the script is brilliantly written, but you know he'll go in and just add his textures to it. And then so is Tobi. Tobi Bantefa, who plays Bunny, is an incredible actor. He's from he's from the UK, so he'll be like, look, this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna do this, that, and the other.
Pick that up.
And then they'll be like, cut. He's like, how was that, bruv? Did I do good? Is this what you want? You know what I'm saying? I'm like, bro.
I don't pick up on that at all. I'm rewatching Top Boy now, and it's just like those guys are talented.
They got chops.
Yeah,
you know they do this. You know, like, and so yeah. But working with Jeremy it's a pleasure, man. And I'm about my work, so. I respect when people are about their work, you know. So on set, it's iron sharpens iron. If you in your process, I'm in mine too. You know what I'm saying? If you're gonna be Mike McCluskey, I'm Raphael. You know, until we not, We could chop it up in Vegas, you know. So.
And he's like, I know he's probably at some point going back to, because they mentioned him going back to his Marvel projects and everything like that. Son is an Avenger and everything.
I mean, and you can't even talk about what he's doing now without mentioning that he was in an accident that almost took his life. You know what I'm saying? Had to do reconstructive surgery all over his chest and got so much metal in him, he'll never make it through the airport. You know what I'm saying? Not the normal way, you know. And so, but to now be doing his own stunts and have trailers specifically set up for like fitness rooms and his regimen and special kind of chairs and still be lead character, like running and doing fighting scenes is like something incredible.
And physical demands of that role.
For sure, yes.
So him coming back like from that accident, were there like major changes? Like, do you feel like he just kind of just shifted back and outside of the trailers and everything you mentioned?
Yeah, I mean, there was some changes for sure, like accommodations for him, like, but then I think they kind of wrote up a couple of the characters around him so that it wasn't too demanding on him initially, but he still came back doing it, you know. I think it the first season back, I think it took us longer to shoot because they didn't want to overtax him and cram it within the tighter space. So it was spread out over some more months, but yeah, they did everything to accommodate him, and he did everything to show up ready and with it.
When I watched the latest season, I think going into it, I expected like something to be off, or like I was like, dang, I don't know if he's gonna. It was
you can't
like
see it.
I couldn't see it in the role because I went back and I was like, did they shoot this before his accident? And
you've seen Jeremy after the accident now.
So going back to the Marvel thing, I watch all those movies. Do you ever watch that and be like, oh, I got a character that if they ever pitched me or if this came up, like I would love to be this character?
Marvel is for sure one of those things that I see myself doing in the future. I also wrote a book called Vivid Isaiah. So it's in the world of like magical realism, Afrofuturism, you know, but it's based in Inglewood. So if you can imagine like straight out of Inglewood, not straight out of Compton, meets The Matrix or Wrinkle in Time or something like that. It's one of those kind of stories. So, of course, Marvel is already a world that they've created, but those are the kind of ideas I like to play with, telling true stories, but adding something to it that just uses the imagination. And even if it's not that story that I've written that I end up playing in, that's something that I see myself getting into for sure.
Like I think there's that in terms of filmmaking. I know a lot of guys get into because Michael B. Jordan has like echoed that like similar sentiments, and he's come out with like I think an anime. So like I guess this world you're building, do you see that possibly going out in animated form? Do you want it to be like a live action? Or
I think it would be super dope if it were animated for sure. If it were animated, I would push the boundaries even more creatively, like because then the imaginative stuff immediately becomes super dope. Fighting scenes, you're not bound by how to shoot it, you know, because budgetarily, you know, if you shooting stuff in live action, it's like you like, oh, how do I accomplish this scene? This man is controlling elements and all this stuff. Whereas if you animate it, you animate it. So in that case, I would just be like, all right, we're going for everything. We're not pulling any ideas, and then the music to it is going to be something incredible, you know. Either way, the music is something that I can't wait to do, like scoring it and pushing boundaries. But if it's animated, I would take it there, you know.
Your character in Mayor of Kingstown, like you said going into the auditions, like, yo, I'm a kid from Inglewood, so I'm already connected to.
I didn't audition for Mayor of Kingstown though.
Oh yeah, so you just because Tasha had reached out.
Yeah.
But when you're going in for like this role, or you being in Mayor of Kingstown, how much of that character is informed by like personal experiences?
A lot, you know. When I was playing somebody, when I knew I was playing somebody that was in jail, you know, called Pops first. Pops did 6 years, you know. the homie Devin just got out, and I mentioned that in my album on a song called Chin Up. You know, he did 10. You know, the homies did a grip. You know, so you know what that energy is. It's something that never leaves somebody who's had that experience. To a certain degree, they're somewhat institutionalized, but of course they learn how to, not cope. Like you don't always see it on them, but that's something they can tap into. For example, I don't have to walk in the room like, hey, this ain't what I don't, you know what I'm saying? But people who, if I hang out with a certain group of people, I code switch, you know. And in the same sense, when I wanted to get in that character, you know, I just wanted to hear stories, like real stories, so I can make them my stories for that character, right? So it's like, if I hear enough when I hear enough stories, I can take one of them and be like, okay, that's true. Let me just imagine that happened to me last week. All right, the other thing is true. That happened yesterday. All right, last night, this was on my mind. This is what it feels like to be in a room. I drew this on the wall last night. Then it's like, ready, action. So when you're in character, it's not just these are the lines I'm about to say.
You tap into this whole history.
This whole history. You got to have the history. Otherwise, you're thinking about lines. And that's not acting at all. You know what I'm saying? And acting ain't even the appropriate word for it. You got to become that person. You know?
I see it though. Like I remember the scene where Bunny left the jail and you were in there on your own and you were navigating it. And like the urgency of a lot of those scenes, I was like, I felt the pressure. For
sure.
Yeah.
I mean, and we filming in an abandoned, you know, prison. Yeah. That was active 7 years ago or so. So when you walk in there, you could feel like this is treacherous. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like the space, the walls, it's breathing. Like so, getting in character is a little bit easier when you walk in there because it's like, I don't even want to be here. You know, but it's good for the show. You know,
so shifting back to the music, you dropped your latest project. Like I've listened to it like a couple of times now. It was fire.
Thank you.
Musically, I messed with it. It went a couple places sonically. I picked up on the R&B and the gospel references. I do have my favorite tracks. I'll be honest, the tracks where it's just you giving yourself room to like be lyrical and everything like that, I'm like a rap nerd, so I go back, I'll look at the lyrics as
you probably like through. Good Morning.
Yeah, Good Morning's fire. Fire's my favorite song.
I love Fire. On the album. Oh, I love Fire. Let's go. Shout out to my Uncle Rich who produced that.
So this album is your first album on Death Row.
Yeah.
Now you have this label, speaking of Inglewood and California, everything that has this storied history. How much of that like gives you like, is there like a lot of pressure walking into that?
I wouldn't say pressure, because it feels like support. The history, how we came up in music feels like it just turns into pure confidence because, you know, our roots run so deep in music. Like my uncle played bass for Prince and Shaka Khan and Destiny's Child and the Winans and everybody, like, and then my mother wrote My Help and gospel songs that have been sung by like CC Winans and people all over the world, and so, and then on top of that, it's me coming up in the studio with Sir and Davion and Tiffany Goucher. It's like making the music isn't the difficult part. Like we've been making dope music, you know. It was just and been pushing the boundaries. It's just like understanding the game, and you know, there's a reason why hustlers make it into the industry a lot more often than musicians, because it's a hustle more than it's a sport of creativity. You know,
music business.
Music business. Yeah. Like there's music. Yeah. It's a music world. We've been in the music world forever. The music business is a business. Yeah. You know, so it's almost like you got to take off one hat and put on the other. You know, so like for example, right now I'm in press run mode. You know, this is something that some musicians couldn't do to this degree. You know, and there's some things I had to learn in order to do this. So, but it's not pressure in making the music. I always respect the process, though. No matter how good at it I am at it, I never approach it carelessly. You know, I'm in the studio like, okay, this got to be my best. So in that sense, there's pressure, but I believe I can make my best every time because I'm growing as I create, you know. But with it, a lot of the project was finished before we solidified the deal with Death Row. Mm-hmm. And that's a big reason why it's a partnership, because it's like, okay, you came prepared, you know, and Snoop respects me as a businessman and an artist. He's like, well, shoot, nephew, you did the hard part already. You know what I'm saying? And I got a chance to play it for him. He's like, I see what you did with that. Like, I see this, you know, I understand this. You started off hitting them over the head with record after record. Then you come through with the sultry spirit. Then you end with the, like, you know, so it wasn't something that I put a whole lot of pressure on myself. Like, but I do believe that I'm the right person to take the legacy of Death Row into, as it relates to rap, because as it relates to rap, there's a lot of, you know, brilliant artists that are already on Death Row. You know what I'm saying? You know, the October Londons, the Jane Hancocks. You know, these are incredible artists, and you know, but they're soul artists. And I think part of Snoop's vision was, if it ain't real music, I don't even want it on Death Row, because we've already done, you know, gangster shit. You know what I'm saying? And so we've already done Pac. You know, and we saw where that got him. Snoop is the one that made it, you know, through that era, you know. So, but I think I'm a bridge between what his vision is for the label, and all the soul and gospel and all that's coming out of it, and rap, you know. So
I think it's easy to look at where Snoop is now. So you'll watch him, like, it's dope because it's like, he was given the chance to evolve. Like, rap has always felt like this young thing. And then, like, Snoop's been given the chance to evolve and go from, like, you know, the gangster rap to, like, playing with, like, you know, reggae albums and
gospel
things like
albums. That. 2 of them.
Chilling with Martha Stewart. And
right.
I think it's very easy to look at Snoop now and sort of lock into this whole Uncle Snoop thing and not look back at, like, I remember, like, Murder Was a Case and all that type of stuff. That same evolution I see in what he's trying to do. I think that reflects in what he's trying to do with Death Row.
Absolutely.
Like, moving forward and seeing, like, artists like you on there, I'm like, okay, I get it. Because it's not necessarily, like, gangster music, but there are some elements of that in the music, but that's just your life. You're not trying to project or glorify anything. You're just walking people through this story.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, that was dope. You did an amazing job with that album. Bro.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I'm super proud of it. I have a habit of like, once I give it to the world, it don't belong to me. Yeah. But this one, for me, is ours. You know what I'm saying? It's I gave it to the world, but it's like, ooh, I like this. You know what I'm saying? So I'm super proud of this one, man, and that's why I'm here. You know what I'm saying? I want this to be heard by as many people. You know, so as good as I am in the music, I want to be that good in making sure people hear it. You feel me?
A lot of artists don't love the whole press process, and
why would they?
Yeah.
You know?
I mean,
so, but you know, we don't necessarily have to love it, but I value it, you know, if it means, you know, more people get to hear the music, because I believe in the music and the message in the music and the entertainment value in the music and its ability to impact people. Like, there are albums that made me, you know, who I am. There are albums that's like, okay, as I become my own man, this is going to be on my consciousness. This is going to be on my psyche. This is part of who I want to be, you know? Like, as an early teen, it was like, I don't want to be no pushover. So it was some corruptness. But as I started being like, dang, do I want to gang bang? You know what I'm saying? Then it was something like Outkast that was like, you know, oh, we don't have to, but we could be with it. Like, okay, well, Big Boy said, even Andre said, oh, so I got a Glock and a low jack. It got a fast foot. You know, so I was like, okay, we're going to have them, but we don't have to, you know. So it was me as a youngster, these pivotal moments where I'm shaping my identity. Music told me who I could be, you know, and how vast and nuanced and diverse that could be all in one person. Whereas if you only listening to mainstream, it's going to tell you got to pick either you a gangster and nothing else, or you a square.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't feel, I'm a nerd. I'm a straight A student.
Yeah.
But, we could step back to the back of the football field and squabble
Yeah.
up. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it was like that. That's what Inglewood was. But the gangsters wouldn't let me gang bang though. They was like, we not having that. Not, and not that they wouldn't let me be no member, but they wouldn't let me bang. So
I think people are nuanced, and I picked that up in the album. It felt deeply personal. Like I feel like I got to know you through like a couple of tracks.
Absolutely.
As you're navigating doing the music and doing the acting, is there one that you have a little bit more love for? Is it one you're kind of leaning into more?
Love versus excitement. You know what I'm saying? Like, now that the music's out, it's exciting. The process of acting is exciting, while I'm doing it. Music is like I go into the zone. Like, this is what I do. How can I push the boundaries on something that I've done all my life? So it's I wouldn't call it a thrill so much as it is like a dolphin don't get, it's not, I mean, maybe they do, I don't know. But I was going to say they don't get excited when they swimming in water. They swim in water. So that's how familiar music is to me. Let's do this. I do feel like I'm at home, but the thrill of being like acting is like, okay, I'm outside of my comfort zone, but I'm confident in my ability to do this, and I'm around sharks, so to speak. When you in character, these people become something else, and you got to be that. You can't be trying while everybody's doing it, So I'm excited about where that's going to take me and the challenges it presents. And music is just always going to be my first love.
I'm not an actor and I'm not a musician, right? My connection to music was always from the outside, looking at guys like a Biggs or a Dame Dash, or guys that were in the music culture but not necessarily like musicians. So that's like sort of what informed me. You were talking about the business of the music business. How do you navigate the business part of that without trying to, because I might be wrong about this, but you were offered a deal at one point by Khaled.
Yes.
And like you turn that down. Like, how do you navigate the business part of all of that?
It's just, some of it is gut. One, Khaled is an incredible executive, an incredible producer, and still supportive, but for me, it was like, I didn't feel like my artistry and what he does matched at the time. And I wanted a lot more creative freedom. And he's so much of a producer that's like, man, and who knows what would have happened? It'd have been, I'd imagine I might have had big hits and number ones and all that stuff, but I still will, and to accomplish them on my terms is something that I saw myself doing. So when I navigated, it's like, people be like, well, how do you deal with being in the music industry? My thing is, the music industry is like the ocean. There's sharks. It's all this stuff. Your business that you build is like a quality ship, your vehicle, and I focus on my nucleus, my core, and make sure that's tight and have a functioning team, a highly functioning team. And I got an incredible team, and so there are people that I trust to help me make decisions. My second, third, fourth brain, on my team. I got the Greg Johnson, is somebody I went to UCLA with, known for 20 plus years. He's been, we've been talking about him managing us before he knew how to do it, and we all grew into these roles. And this was at a time when I was rapping with the homie Chiz, who passed. He knew him, and so that's a big core of like my team. And then my mentor and other manager, DJ Shanks, my publicist, Mackenzie, I got my nephews, my nephew Rick, my assistant Dres, who's my former student. Like, it's all hands on deck. So even when we sign a deal, it's like we're showing the label, we're showing the whatever company that we end up partnering with, like, we already were ready to do this. How are you going to accentuate that? And what can we give you to do your best work yet? You know, so that's what I focus on. And when we go outside and it's about like big industry stuff, we shake hands, we show love. We are genuine because we did our work. You know, if you come outside and you ain't done your work, it's like you looking for an opportunity, so like a handout. We ain't looking for none of that. We're confident that we're headed in the right direction and we move as such, you know. So I don't really worry about what everybody else does as long as our functionality is high and people show up to the plate and are healthy and we do good business internally first and then externally. And, you know, when bread comes, we break bread.
So in navigating those rooms, is there anyone from the outside looking in? Of course, we don't know the nuances of everybody. It's like whatever. But outside looking in, are there any artists that within rap or outside of rap that you look at and you be like, yo, I see a connection there, or I'd love to work with this person, or it'd be great if we were able to develop something like that?
Man, creatively, it's plenty of artists I want to work with. You know, I'm a big fan of, well, I always think about the R&B artists I want to work with first. So I want a song with like Daniel Caesar, her, you know. I still got to do something with, you know, a couple people. But, you know, then it's the homies, like the street homies who are like real rappers. Like me and G Perico got to do something for the city, you know. He on the blue side, I'm from Inglewood, you know. So it's a lot of people. And of course, I want to work with Kendrick. I want to work with, you know, Cole, you know. You know, me and Jid got to do something, you know, so.
He was, my bad, not saying
go for it, you know.
So speaking of like the cross over stuff, Jid did, he just performed Bodies on Fallon. I don't know if you saw it, with Offset. And I forget the name of the rock band. But they did Bodies on Fallon. Okay. And that's a crossover because it was like rock, rap, kind of like when we're done here, I'm gonna show you. It's fire.
Gotcha.
Outside of hip hop, do you see you doing like a rock collab or a pop collab or
a country collab?
Country collab.
Yeah. Jelly Roll, that would be hard. You know.
I can see that.
Yeah, that would be super hard. Just somebody who is both of us crossing over authentically. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to do it just to do it. But yeah, I'm open to it for sure. Yeah.
I can see the Jelly Roll joint.
That would be tight. Yeah, Jelly Roll, hit me up. Me and Smoke a Jelly Roll. Let's make it happen.
Like you mentioned Snoop. I know Ye did a gospel album. Like you would you ever look into something like that?
Absolutely. And that's just something that I want to do correctly. For me, it's like gospel album. It's entirely Spanish album, Latin album. You know, because I was a Spanish teacher. I, you know, dabble in. I'm fully fluent in Spanish, but I, you know, write bilingual music at the time. Whereas I can just do a whole Spanish project. So those are some things that that I would love to do. You know, this third album is just that statement piece. That's like, look, if the first three tell you exactly who I am, this third one is going to solidify that and bring you deep into the family, so that now musically I can entertain more. You know, I feel like I've earned that. Like you got Kanye did college dropout, graduation, or late registration, graduation.
Late registration,
you know, and then it was like, then you're gonna get these creative, you know, moments.
I feel like his best work to me was My Twisted Dark Fantasy. It's probably my favorite album of his. And like, you know, he doing what he doing now. So.
Right. Yeah. But my thing is he's earned. It's like when Mayweather. I'm a big boxing fan. Yeah. You know, everybody knows Money May, right? Yeah. They know the Canelo fight. You made $40 million and then you kind of coasted, but it's like people don't go back. You know, the casual fans don't go back and really see what got them to that place. You know, they didn't see Pretty Boy Floyd and the knockouts and how he did Diego Corrales, you know, like, so in the same sense in music, you know, some of these artists have earned the right to experiment and speak their unadulterated mind and give you an album full of B-sides and not worry about the single, you know. So yeah, I don't critique I know who I want to be as an influence to people, but I don't critique people just wanting to be a person in front of the world, you know, be flawed publicly.
I mean, you have that because I feel like your music is deeply personal. So it's like you're very I don't know how transparent, because like I mean, I don't know you personally, but from looking at the album, I don't know if I would personally be comfortable being that open. You're very open in the album with some of your personal experiences. So I thought that was dope.
I don't know how not to. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, I come from the classroom and the community work. So it's like, if we having conversations, we having them. I can't, like, you know, we posted, people knew what my family was experiencing, and then to post it and not put it in your art is like, what are you doing? From my standpoint, but.
So, in Spanish album, I think we'll go crazy. Like, that's a big audience. Like, I mean, I'm thinking from the business perspective, yeah, but I'm like, that's a huge audience. Like, Spanish music, I didn't get how big, like, people like Bad Bunny and people like that. It's like huge. Massive.
Like night after night at the SoFi Stadium in Inglewood. Yeah. How you do 100,000 people multiple nights in a row?
That's crazy.
That's pretty cool.
I mean, it's a big audience.
You know what I'm saying?
That'd be dope. Going back to the acting, like one of the points I was making before, and again, I'm not an actor, I'm not a rapper. It seems like rap is like something deeply, like you have to go into yourself, right? And then acting, you get to take a vacation from yourself because you get to be somebody else.
For sure.
Which to you is like the more like rewarding experience?
When you release a project that you're proud of, there's no feeling like that. Like, dropping the album is super rewarding. Dropping this album is super rewarding, right? Everyone is different. This feels like the butterfly coming out of the cocoon all over again, right? Going into character on screen, it depends on the character. Sometimes I have to detox from Raphael, you know, whereas I did a film called Play Hard, and I played Nate, and Nate was a breath of fresh air because he was just a thoughtful nerd jazz musician who just over obsesses in his work. So, which was like, it's everything I am minus Inglewood. You know what I'm saying? If I was never introduced to gangster shit, and I could just obsess over the intricacies of jazz, and that's who Nate was, and to the point where he was socially awkward, and that wasn't something I necessarily had to come down from, because Raphael's in jail. I gotta woosah him off of me. You know what I'm saying? So it all depends on the character you're playing. I read Matthew McConaughey's book, and you know, he said there were times where whole seasons where he was the lighthearted love interest in movies, and his life took on that form. Like, I'm fun, I'm happy, I'm going to the beach every day, I'm chilling. Then when he needed to find more purpose, he was like, oh, okay, now I need to play a dragon slayer. And what would a dragon slayer do? He would run miles a day, he would have a strict diet and all this stuff, and he respected what those characters contributed to his own psyche. When he finished the character, he had more respect for himself because he was able to access a part of himself that could offer that role something, you know. So I look forward to playing roles that further define me, because it's like training for a fight. You know, you put in so much work that your body and everything in you remembers this season, and it now is written onto who you are, you know. So
that's dope. So like, he'll look for roles that he feels like will take him somewhere he might want to go personally in his life. At
least in that season where he was like, look, I can do this rom-com thing with my eyes closed, but I'm losing respect for myself. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And in so many words.
Yeah. He killed True Detective. I don't know if you saw season 1 of that, but he did an amazing job on that. Hey, check it out if you get a chance.
He's an incredible actor though, yeah.
I'm a movie nerd. Like, I feel like TV used to give me a lot of what movies gave me in terms of character development and storylines and so on. I'm going to harass you guys with like just lists of like movies and TV shows to check out. Night Of on HBO is like one of my favorite.
Night Off on HBO?
Night Of.
Night Of on HBO.
In terms of like an evolution of, basically it's about a kid who is like completely, remember you were just saying you without the Inglewood?
Yeah.
It's this kid without the Inglewood, without the street, and then they put him in that, and he has to evolve to survive in that.
Interesting.
And then on the other end, who he is now with the plus that. What would you want to play then? Like if you, and not necessarily in this season of your life, if you feel like, would it be an astronaut? Would it be a dude in space? If you could tap into I would love to play this type of character, what would it be? Would you want to do a rom-com, or would you want to like do an action movie? Or
I would love to do I would love to do a rom-com as part of like things that I have done, right? Just as a welcomed what's the word, departure from the gangster stuff that they know I could do, right? But it's a blend of something that is both imaginative and authentic at the same time. That's why I wrote the book that I wrote. It's like something that pushes the boundaries on what's real, blurs the line between reality and imagination, or realms and things, and then but also tells a very human story, and something that's inspiring and brave. And I'm a natural born leader, so what I can't play, I can't play no sucker, what I'm saying? I can't play no snitch or buster. Like it's not. Don't send me those. You know what I'm saying? Like, but taking somebody that's complex and conflicted and giving them a brave arc, you know what I'm saying, or something that allows them to challenge what people think about, somebody who grew up different than them. So
I think we dope.
But leadership roles, action roles, fighting roles. I fight, I box, I do martial arts, and so all of that. I want some Will Smith roles, Michael B. Jordan roles. I want to actually share the screen with these guys.
I can see that though.
Yeah. So,
like when I asked you the Marvel question, like one of the first things obviously is taken by Michael B. Jordan, but like I see a lot of that Killmonger energy, right? Yeah. In that whole film space, I saw Michael B. Jordan go from like just acting and like, all of that to like producing. You mentioned that project where that sort of Afro fantasy, Afro futurism. Is there any other project that you're working on, like a script or something like that? Do you see yourself writing like a screenplay? I always go back to, when I think about independent filmmaking, I always go back to the story of like Ben Affleck and Matt Damon putting together like Good Will Hunting. Like you ever see yourself putting together like some type of screenplay or something like that? Is there a story that's been bouncing around? Well,
that story currently is Vivid Isaiah, which is the name of the book. So it will be adapted as a screenplay, and has, it not just has series potential, it will be a series. I've kind of outlined the different the sequels and and what those would be, what the premise of those would be. And so but that's until I finish that. I don't like to jump around so much, but until I finish that, that's the one that I want to fine tune and
I mean that could be it in of itself, because like you look at what James Cameron is doing with like Avatar. He's like, this is all I'm doing for the rest of my career. I'm just doing these joints and building this world out.
Incredible.
Crazy.
Yeah, and the creators of Marvel. It's like Marvel is my world. You know what I'm saying? So I think I have something on my hands.
There's space for that now too, because if you look at, a lot of people say the best Spider-Man movie is Enter the Spider-Verse, the Miles Morales animated version. So if you look at that, I think there's room for that, and people are basically saying like there's a market, or we want to consume more of this type of content.
For
like
sure.
You have the music element to it. You have like the cultural aspect and the multicultural aspect to it, and then it's grounded in that culture, but then you still have all these like fantastical elements around it.
Absolutely. K-pop Demon Hunters. Have you seen it?
Yeah, no, my daughter's obsessed.
Have you seen it?
No, I haven't watched it yet.
I'm obsessed.
I'm big into anime, but I haven't watched it yet.
I'm
my
obsessed.
daughter's into that. Yeah.
I as a musician, it's like, and I'm not particularly a K-pop fan. I've heard some stuff that I like, but it's not like I'm digging into K-pop crates. You know what I'm saying? So, but when I tell you like the concept and what they were able to accomplish, you know, in that movie is remarkable. You know, and I'm big on messages. So how I felt and what I felt like they were taking on and instilling was something powerful and original, you know. So I was like, all right, you know, let's create a new Hun Moon, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So, but yeah, I really like that movie. And for me, having written Vivid Isaiah is something that that re-exposed me to the possibilities.
So besides that, what are you watching on TV? We're gonna obviously run down, but I want to know what you're watching because I'm gonna send you my list.
Got you. What am I watching on TV when I'm not going back and watching episodes of Martin?
Yeah.
What am I watching? What's the last thing I saw? I ain't been watching that much TV. I wish this was a month ago. I could tell you what series did I finish. I don't know.
Yeah. What are you watching? I'm rewatching Top Boy. I was about to get into it. I'm rewatching Top Boy. I don't know if you've seen that. Fire. That's on Netflix, I think.
I started it. I didn't finish it.
I was just watching Martin the other day. I that's one of those I'm gonna throw it on TV before I wind down.
For sure. Settle your soul. Watch some Martin. You know.
Definitely. It's funny because to this day it's still hilarious. I think they're doing the spinoff with
Vernell Hill.
Yeah, that's gonna be funny.
I can't wait.
And movies here and there. I think there was something else. What was I watching? Because there's something I watch week to week, and I'm kind of my brain is shorting on it now. And I think I watched recently with Anthony Mackie, Twisted Metal,
okay.
which is one of those I'll throw it on, and every once in a while there's a moment where I'm like, oh, what just happened? I'll rewind it, I'm multitasking or something like that. But that's pretty good too.
Gotcha. Yeah, I gotta get back into it. I don't even remember the last thing I watched. What was what's that show on Apple TV where you got an innie and an outie?
Oh, Severance. My sister was telling me about it.
So that's what I saw some of Severance. You know, my wife was super into Severance. Yeah. You know, it wasn't my cup of tea, but I like the creativity of it. And also anything that you kind of see some of it and you look away and you're not really invested in the story, and how much can you appreciate it? But that was on in the house. Yeah, so I got to get back into, what connects with me.
I got you. So the last question I wanted to ask you, this is your first album on Death Row. Do you see a very long, was the process in putting this out with Death Row, was it a fulfilling one for you? And do you see more projects with Death Row, or that ship metaphor you're talking about? Or do you feel like the ship is gonna move on?
This is just breaking the ice. Yeah. I believe that there's some things that can only be built over multiple seasons and times, and so, we being myself and Snoop Dogg look forward to going in from scratch and planning okay, this is something that I had, and I was like, Snoop, let's partner. But what does it look like when we get together and get in a room and say, look, this is the plan, look, from day one, and craft something. So I'm excited for, what we can do when we do it that way. And, we both of us are open to doing this again. And, I just like building with people if circumstances allow for it to be something we can recreate, go back to the drawing board and do over and over again, so. But, Snoop is also his own man, and he hasn't made it so that I'm locked in, but we want to, so, and that's why outside of contracts, we've worked over and over again. I've written, his Spanish verses on Banda MS, Que Maldición, and, he's pulled up in Inglewood for the Gasparianga shoot. This is outside of a contract. We were doing business. So, but I think people will see, who I am and what I'm capable of, and where this thing is going if we choose to do it again.
That's dope.
Yeah.
Yo, I appreciate you coming out, sitting down with me, man. This is a
Absolute
dope
pleasure.
conversation. I'm definitely gonna harass you with that list, Mackenzie. I'm gonna send you that and some of the other stuff we talked about. Bro, like the album was amazing, and as a representative of the West Coast, you more than like held it down, man.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys pulling up to watch One of One, a PLLRS podcast. Like and subscribe and all of that. Please go check out all of the other projects we're coming out with, and coming soon, PLLRS to streaming. Thanks for watching.